Chapter 5, Profit Maximization. In this video, we're going to look at competitive markets. We've already talked about what makes a competitive market. Remember, a market is just a group of buyers or sellers. A competitive market is one in which there are so many buyers and so many sellers that no one person has market power. So the sellers cannot control the price. They are price takers. They have to take the price for their product that the market bears. If one particular seller of a product decided that they wanted to increase the price, there's so many other places consumers can buy that product that all of their customers are going to buy from somebody else. And then the seller who raised their price isn't going to have any revenue. So, in the last video, we talked about how marginal revenue equals price, at least for competitive firms. If you have a situation in which there's lots of buyers and lots of sellers, then the price can't change because the market is setting the price, not the seller of the product. So, marginal revenue is typically thought of as the amount of revenue you'd make if you sold one more unit. Well, if you're selling all of your units for the same price, then marginal revenue is going to be the same thing as price. Now, marginal revenue equaling price is only true for firms that are in competitive markets. If we had a market here that was a monopoly and there was only one seller of the product, that seller would have a lot of market power. They could control the price that they wanted to sell it at because there's nowhere else for their customers to go. But in a competitive market, there are. In fact, there's lots of other sellers, and those are all conveniently located for the customer. So marginal revenue is going to equal price. So here's a graph. Again, we've got price on the vertical axis. We've got quantity on the horizontal. Remember, your upward sloping marginal cost line is going to be the same as your supply line. And the red line, which is equal to our price and our marginal revenue, is also the same as a perfectly elastic demand line. So here, the equilibrium of supply and demand is the equilibrium where MR equals MC. And that's going to be the spot where we maximize our profit. Here, that's labeled price one, quantity one. And I'll show you how. So if we decided that we wanted to make less units here at quantity sub A, my price is still higher than my cost at that particular quantity. So that tells me I can make more profit if I continue to increase my quantity or my units that I'm producing. So I can increase quantity and I can make more total revenue and therefore more profit. If I decide to produce at quantity sub B, at these values, my cost line is now higher than my marginal revenue line. So that means at quantity QB, I am going to be incurring more cost to make them that I will be bringing in due to the price. So that's bad. That's going to reduce my total profits. So the best place for me to stop producing is quantity one, because when I make that quantity, I'm going to break even on that one unit. But on all the units prior to that, I made profit. So that is the space where my total profits are the highest. And this is also a magic of the free market. If a seller is trying to maximize their profit, they have to do so by trial and error. And they figure out over time that if I produce quantity A, I should produce more quantity to make more profit. Oops. And if I make quantity B, now I've made too many units. I'm going to have to cut back on my quantity in the future. So MR equals MC, and the quantity that is associated with MR equals MC is where a firm will maximize their profit. It's also the equilibrium of supply and demand. So here's an example. In this particular graph, our price and marginal revenue line at first was lower, so that's the grayed outline, but something happened and my price increased. Remember, this is the same as a demand line. So let's say demand increases for your product. For some reason, customers want to buy more of it. When demand increases for a product, the price rises and the quantity rises. So we've gone up to price two, quantity two. That also means that our new maximizing quantity at MR equals MC is a higher price and a higher quantity. So I can produce here at P2, Q2 and I can make more total revenue, which is price times quantity, and more total profits. So your marginal cost line, this upward sloping blue line, is the same as your supply curve. And the red line, which is price and marginal revenue, is the demand line. But this is only true in competitive markets.